I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm gonna cancel Q. I'm gonna tell you a story. This is gonna blow your mind. When I got into college, we have. Let me show you USF Greek Village. USF Greek Village. So this is our. Can't believe I'm recording this too. So this is our village. So this is USF Greek Village. This is what it looks like. Okay. So we live. It's like this. So that's not it right here. That's that's Greek Village. Sorry, USF. The hub village. Let's just say the hub. Okay. Yeah. So this is how it looked like. Okay. So or at least when it was building, but this is more so what it looks like right now. So you had Summit Building. To the right of that building, right next to it, was another house, apartment, right? Another set of apartments that look like this, right? So this is Pinnacle. So basically, if I were to walk this way, I would walk upstairs that would lead up to here. It's hard to see it on a map, but basically this is Summit. Yeah, this is the eating. So if you go up these stairs, basically from Summit, which is where you would look. So the guy was standing right here. He was looking here, right? Okay, anyway, so we have Beacon Hall, we have Horizon, Summit, all that. So this is Endeavor. I lived here. I lived on the third floor. I lived with the business people, and I loved the business people. They were awesome, and they were all very friendly, and they used to watch my Rocket League games, and it was very fun.
They would?
Yeah, they would. They would put it on the big screen, and they would just say, like, hey, Lucian's fucking playing Rocket League right now. Why don't we put that shit on, because they got nothing on TV, and they would watch it. And I was like, no way. Now, apparently, one of these buildings, one of these two, somebody was Baker acted because they were going to jump off. They were going to jump off. Yeah, they were going to jump off. They were going to kill themselves. Now, they didn't do it in this one. Now, there was one person. Well, no. So they apparently were trying to jump out the window, and they got Baker acted and everything. So fast forward, right? That was as soon as I got to college, that was like right after like COVID. That was my sophomore year in high school. Yeah, it was my sophomore year. So it was my 2019 to 2020. So it was right before COVID, because COVID hit at the spring of 2020, and then it took us out all the way to like senior year. So I only got like realistically, I don't count my freshman year, because that was when I was like went crazy and just played Rust all day and shit. And I was a gremlin and Rocket League. Heard a story of someone who basically tried to jump off, and I heard about it. It floated around of people that were just struggling, So I ended up meeting on Instagram. I met this one girl. So she posted something on like an Instagram. It just like came up, and I ended up like commenting on it. I thought she was adorable. She seemed like the cutest thing. And it was one of those like wholesome photos. It's not one of those like fucking girls who sit there like, pulling up their spandex and their bikini, these fucking photos.
Yeah.
Where they do that shit, you know what I'm saying? And they pull it up to show their like V-line and their hips and shit. It wasn't one of those. Like, she was just like and she was adorable. She was taking a picture in front of a sunset, and I was just like, she seems like such cool people. But I really liked being around sunsets and being around nature. This was right before my dad passed. I liked being around nature and all that. And here's a timeline. Let me write it down. So timeline 2019, bro. This gets built. I hear the rumor, right? Okay, There's the rumor. Okay, well then 2020 COVID, right? I come back on the fall of 2022. Of 2021 and the spring of 2022. I come back in the fall, and now I'm living at a certain apartment. I end up seeing a post in the fall, right around November of some time. This girl's super adorable, and I was just like, I thought she was the cutest thing ever, and I wanted to hang out with her. And I was like, hey, where did you take that photo, by the way? Because I was also doing videography. I loved going outside. So I would ask her like, hey, where'd you take this photo? I want to write this down in traveling places. She's like, oh, I took it by like the Causeway or something like that, she said. And she, I think I ended up messaging her something, just being really forward, and she responded with, yeah, it's by the Causeway. We should go sometime. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, look, this either means A, like, she's gay, and she's not into me. What's up?
You got Rizzy.
It could either mean she's really forward, and that's really cool, or B, she's not interested at all, or C, she's gay. And she means nothing at all by this, and she thinks it's purely platonic. You know what I mean? And she's just being really nice, and that's probably just who she is. So I didn't know what happened. We're kind of going back and forth a little bit. She wouldn't really respond to her texts even now. She's and I keep in touch with her here and there. She doesn't really respond all that much, and we're like real good friends now. Like, she's somebody I really, really admire. But my mom died, and I remembered that she worked at a restaurant, And I didn't know where to go. But, you know, when I basically threw in the towel at that point, because basically my life circumstances had shown that everything seemed so out of my control that I was just kind of like, all right, well, I'm just going to float, see where the waves take me, because I'm tired of swimming. So threw in the towel and heard an impulse within my gut that said, hey, call this lady. And so I called her at one point, and we had never really spoken, but like a few times. And I asked her, I said, hey, I don't really know what to do. And, you know, I was like, I don't want to like trauma dump, but I'm really struggling. I don't know how to move forward, or how to with the job, or I want to know how you did it. Like, you know, like what to do with that. And I don't, so I, you know, and this girl, she didn't take that like as overwhelming, because some people, when you pour your heart out in that sense, they're just like, oh my God. And they freak and they never talk to you. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah,
never
I get
really,
you.
I never really was needy. I was just like, I just don't know what to do, you know? And I wanted some help, and I didn't have anybody. I didn't have anybody. I didn't have my cousins. I didn't have aunts, uncles. I had nothing, nobody. So we went back and forth, and she didn't want to give me false hopes, but it was also a thing where she didn't want to say no, because she just didn't know about whether or not this job was going to work out at this particular spot. So it ended up being that on the day that I knew, and I knew it as soon as I go to my house, I'm like, she's going to call me. And it fucking happened, because I was like, I was waiting for the call. And I was like, I don't want to go to my house and then call me into work, and then I can't work because I'm all the way in Port Charlotte and I have to drive 3 hours over fucking back over to where I live, because then I'll probably miss my shift and then I'll be fucked. So I was like, okay. So I was on standby for days. Didn't hear a fucking thing. And I mean, I mean, I wasn't just like sitting there like staring at a wall. I mean, I was doing other things. I was playing games, but I was also applying to other jobs, trying to figure shit out. And I mean, nothing really worked out. She ends up calling me, and the day that I am coming back from my house and I'm there, she goes, hey, can you come into work today? I look at the time, I could make it 2 hours. You know, I got to work. I come in and work at like 5:45. It's only like 2 o'clock, 1:30 now. I can make it in 2 hour drive. I'll be fine. And I was like, and I knew it as soon as I went back to my house, they were going to fucking call me to come into work, which they did. And it's just funny how that worked out. But she says, hey, and then she was somebody that honestly was like a protector. It's like the world was somebody that just like dumps water on you, gallons and gallons, till you're soaking wet, sticks you in a negative 40-degree heat, and I'm out there, and she was somebody that just went like this. You know what I mean? Like, and was just like, we're gonna get you sorted out, and pretty much. And I absolutely fell in love with that woman. I absolutely, because there's nobody on this planet that I don't think, or there's a lot of people on this planet, but it's very rare that you meet somebody that when you are so down in the dumps, especially as a dude, when you open up about that kind of shit, about being helpless, it's like, oh, you're a guy, you should just figure it out. You know what I mean? I thought that's
Yeah.
the culture among men, and to do this to a woman in particular is like, you know, she could be crazy and I have no idea, and she could just take advantage and fucking overpower and manipulate, right? And I can't do anything, right? But she did the opposite. She was somebody that was extremely protective, and she was always asking me like, how you doing? Are you okay? What's going on? And I remember on a phone call at one point, you know, she was like, you know, I was really stressed out my sophomore year, or her freshman year or whatever. I think she's like a year younger than me or something like that. Or she was just overwhelmed with school, and she had a lot going on in her personal life. I think one of a close family member really died also. And she didn't really know how to handle it, on top of the mental pressure. And she was trying to rush a sorority at the time. And it got to a point where she wanted to, and she told me this story before, that she wanted to commit suicide, and she got Baker acted. But then she added in the detail at some point later, and it was, and the story was reconvened at a later time, where she said, I wanted to jump out the window. And the light bulb went off in my head, and I go,
Wait,
yeah.
wow. That's actually crazy.
I said, were you the girl that was going to jump out the window on Horizon? She said, yes. She goes, and I go,
Bro, that's
and I said, so why did you help me out? And she's like, well, because I've been in that. I've been in your shoes. She says, and I don't want somebody else to experience that.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow is right. And it blows my mind. The stars, talk about the billions of stars that we have in it. We happen to be at a point where she was somebody that wanted to commit suicide, and I was somebody that was just coming out of almost trying at my house. I won't get into it, but I was pretty fucking close. And she was like, yeah, she's like, I know what it's like to have nothing, essentially, and to be overwhelmed, and I wanted to help somebody. I've never been the same, honestly, with that. But she was somebody that is like a light on the world, and she overwhelms herself with, honestly, with helping people. That's just kind of who she is. It's kind of funny. You know, she's like, you know, trying to take care of somebody who, you know, they're going through all this stuff and they're struggling, and she's trying to take care of their dogs or something like that. I mean, it's just silly, and she's just like so stressed, you know. It's just like, it's just like it's a recalling to, that's what she did with me at some point. You know what I mean? So, because of that and who she was and the kind of character that she portrayed in that moment, there was like a kind of a maternal or paternal instinct that when a girl takes care of you like that, there is a thing that unlocks in you as a dude that no matter what, you would, it doesn't matter if a raging inferno is in front of you, you would walk through it just so you could, you know, and even if she's not okay, you can make damn sure she'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like, because I was lifeless at that point, and she took somebody that was that and wanted to bring back life into that. So I fell in
That
love
is
with that woman. I absolutely just, I was just like, I would die for you without it, because, and I no hesitation from me. I mean, there's genuinely just like, I'm cool with it. Cool with it.
Did you ever tell it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I did. And I told her, I said, I don't know how this is going to affect our relationship at some point, but I said, I am absolutely, and I explained, I was like, you know, what you did was, you know, this, and I explained a lot of the kind of the things that are going on with my friend group, where my best friend I actually kind of lost because he was somebody that helped me, but he was he was more psychopathic. I wouldn't say he's a psychopath in its entirety, but he just exhibited a lot of psychopathic / narcissistic behaviors, and that could just be somebody that's just really immature. And there's a lot of stuff I could get into that where you'll just be like, yeah, that's not right. And, you know, I'll also counter argument to it, but I know for a fact that, you know, part of the reason that I am able to convey these and I think be a much better negotiator now and be skilled from the get-go and have a really solid foundation is because I've dealt with all the other shit. So I explained to her, you know, basically how rare it is and what my friend did to me, and basically being in the same position. And I did that because I wanted to show her how precious that is, who she is as a person, for her to really truly appreciate herself, but also just, you know, she just did something to me that just made me just want to just, hey, I'm gonna love you forever. So I told her, and it put us in a weird position because she was more platonic with the whole thing. She wanted to be friends, you know, and it created a love triangle. Or she, you know, she wants to do something else. She's not really interested, but I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, we could figure this out. I can climb mountains for you. That's not fucking easy. That's fucking easy. You know, like I've done it before. So, yeah. So, yeah, I did tell her. And it kind of, it put a little bit of a wedge, but I would rather be forward because I don't believe in the, oh yeah, I'm going to be the best friend, you know? And then you see those videos and guys on TikTok and the girls on like those 401 podcasts where the girl picks up the phone, calls the guy, and she goes, I just broke up with my boyfriend. You're, you know, and I realized I want to be with you. And the guy's like, let's do it. I've been waiting for this, you know?
Yeah,
And then it's really awkward, and the girl's like, wow. And she's heartbroken because she's like, because it's true. The sentiment is true that if it's a guy best friend with a girl, that he's probably more than likely absolutely in love with the girl, and he just doesn't want to let her go. You know what I mean? So I told her, I said, I don't want to be involved in that. And also what it's going to do is if you find out in the future anyway, you're going to find it that I manipulated you in some sense, or I took advantage of you in some way, you know? And I said, that's the opposite of what I want it to be, because it's a deep-seated love for me to honor you. That's what I want to do. And it helps. And even if this causes a short-term burn, I just want you to know that this is how I feel. And then I told her, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that story would be interesting to you, because it's
Yeah, it definitely was.
whoa, dude! If you were to write a book on it, it's straight out of a book, man. It's straight out of a
It
fucking
is.
book. Okay, let's play some games.
Yeah, thank you for time.